Welcome everyone, and today we are here with Albert and Bis from Folk Studio, who are going to present Eldorado experience. The meeting today will be in English, but I'm going to say something in Italian very quick for those who don't understand English. Buongiorno a tutti, una veloce introduzione in italiano per dirvi che l'incontro di oggi sarà in inglese. Se avete qualche difficoltà a seguire l'incontro, vi invitiamo a rimanere se volete comunque provare a seguirlo e di iscrivervi invece al nostro canale YouTube, dove piano piano stiamo caricando tutti gli appuntamenti dal 20 aprile a oggi, e per gli appuntamenti in lingua inglese stiamo lavorando ai sottotitoli in italiano. Ora torno velocemente all'inglese per permettere ai nostri ospiti di fare parte della conversazione. So I'm back to English. I just said to the Italian public that if they don't understand English, they can follow us also on YouTube, where we are uploading all the meetings that we had. This is Virtual Fruit, and it's the virtual version of Fruit exhibition, the independent art book fair of Bologna, which was supposed to take place this weekend, actually. But because of the COVID situation, we decided we don't like to say canceled event, but we postpone it, and we try to do something to keep in touch with our editors, who are the reason because Fruit is born and he is going so well in these past 7 years. So we decided to create this daily program. Every day we meet an editor, publishing house or artist, and they have the opportunity and the space to talk about their project and to sell directly to the public what they do. So today we are here with Bis and Albert from Folk Studio and Eldorado Experience. Eldorado Experience is not just a magazine, it's more like a platform dedicated, multimedia platform dedicated to travel as a physical experience and also a spiritual experience. And Eldorado was selected by Fruit from the open call we dedicated to travel publishing. And this open call was dedicated, we decided to open this call to editors because one of the focus of this edition was the travel publishing. So I'm really happy that Folk Studio and Eldorado decided to be part of Fruit, even in this virtual version, not in person or physically. So I'm going to give you some tech information before giving the word to Bis and Albert. We are on Zoom. If you want to join us, you have just to follow the link that you see in the Facebook post. Zoom don't require registration, so no password for this meeting, so you have totally freedom to be part of this conversation. If you join us on Zoom, you will enter muted, and you will not have the possibility to unmute yourself. You can speak with us and our guests using the chat. And if you like to share something more complex, like a comment or a question, you can ask us to unmute your microphone, so you will have the possibility to speak. If you want to follow us on Facebook and you want to comment or have any questions for us or our guests, you can just comment the post, and I will report your comments to our guests. So Bis and Albert, welcome, and thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you. We're very happy to be here. So just to kind of start with a quick introduction, we're going to kind of take you guys on a journey, basically from the origins of Eldorado and from the origins of folk, really, up until the latest project that we're working on with Eldorado now. and kind of talk about each step of the way, and show you some of the magazines and the publications, show you a little bit of the website and some video content. I'm Biss and I edit Eldorado, and I'm on the communications team at Folk. And this is Albert, who founded Folk and Eldorado. Yeah, we're very happy to be here, so thanks for having us. So we have a presentation let me just share it. Share screen.
Okay.
Vale. Is that sharing correctly?
Yeah, it's working. Totally working.
Okay. Bueno, I mean, Eldorado starts, I don't know, 7 years ago, or less, maybe more, 8 or 9, something like this. At that time, we were like mainly focused doing editorial projects. We were in charge of several magazines like Fanzine, Metal, Tiger, Fucking Young, Tunica, etc., etc., etc. And we were like maybe a team of 6 or 7 or 8 people, more or less, at that time, and mainly doing some branding, but mainly doing editorial like books, magazine, etc., etc. As well, I think it's important to tell the story of Apartamento, because Apartamento was the first self-initiative we had with 2 other partners, me, Omar, and Nacho. Omar and me were working at the studio since the beginning. Nacho was a friend of us, his photographer, and we did, let's say, we decided to start by our own crazy idea or a crazy project like Apartamento that at the time was really crazy, and small magazine, a small format in English, while we were in Spanish, in Spain, etc., etc., etc. But yeah, it was a very successful thing, a very successful project that opens a lot of possibilities and an open field. And because of quit of the project, so many things happen, of course, it's normal, and I quit the project. I start with my partner, with Rafa, working together in the studio, and we start like the way of becoming an agency, let's say like this. And at that time, well, we were like, when we were out of the Apartamento, we feel like empty and that we want to start something new and another self-initiative project. And suddenly at that time appears the surf. I start surfing and I went to Morocco for a trip. As well, when we start like 2 projects at the same time, which is a really crazy thing. So it's like Odiseo and Eldorado. But today we're gonna focus on Eldorado. And yeah, we went to this trip as well. I need that trip because I was very stressed at that time. So many things, so many work, quite big team already. We were like maybe 10, 11. It wasn't that easy to manage. So suddenly I went for first time in November, which is not August. That's normally when we have holidays. But in November, I went with 2 friends to Morocco, to an unknown place. I've never been there, to surf. And there suddenly it's when everything starts. And it's important because it's a project that starts by itself. I mean, and very spontaneously. It's what we said here in this slide. When we went to that trip, and when we come back, one of us, this idea, the friend of us, surfer and photographer, was taking pictures during the trip, but like I don't know, like with no intention at all. And when we come back, he developed the film, still in analogic photography. And we realized that pictures were really powerful, and we decided to do something. Yeah, and Eldorado was born from intuition. I mean, we don't have this idea of making something related to traveling or to outdoor, etc., etc. But we understood that it was a nice tool or a nice excuse to generate a new mood and visibility for us, because I had the feeling that we were too stuck on urban aesthetics or we were always talking about the same, about design, about urban, about the cities, about art, etc., etc. And we weren't able to build a project of something different. And we realized, me and Rafa, that Eldorado was a good excuse to start talking about something different, and as well to communicate our capacities. I mean, it's not, I mean, a commission normally it's fixed and you have like so many rules to follow. And in this case, we want to do everything we want. So it was again another excuse to explore our capacities, etc., our skills, etc., etc., and as well to obtain this editorial knowledge we had already as designers, but we didn't have as editors. I mean, to design content, it's, I mean, it's not easy, but it's, I mean, it's something we hope to know. We hope we know how to do it, but it's not that easy to generate the content. And because of Eldorado and Odiseo, we start learning how to generate content. And I think it's very important, this project, because this project brings us to the present, where we are now a narrative, let's say a narrative agency, where we work in branding, but as well generating content. We have our own production company, etc., etc. So it, for me, it's the, ¿cómo se dice la semilla? The seed. The seed of our present. It's absolutely like this. No, wait, click on here.
There we go.
I can't read it because, well, anyway, as well, it's not a coincidence. I think it's important that at that time we were in the post-crisis moment, more or less like now, where people needs to reconnect with new values, with the nature, etc., etc. So I'm sure now everyone will understand perfectly that the feeling at that time we had. Yeah. So it's why I had this as well, this necessity of surfing, of going out, why we want to invest this energy to build a project like Eldorado. That's why we believe that values were positive for folk, because there were like new values at that time, etc., etc. I mean, this urban frustration, I told you, I think it's important. I mean, but it's like, it's exactly like now, the feeling all us we had is like, oh, we are really tired of living in cities as well, because now the cities are the problem of this coronavirus spreading, because it's like the density, etc., etc., and the hyper-connected like regions. Mm. They are really, I mean, the cities are a problem for the nature. And as well, we had this feeling that, yes, we need to do something new in terms of editorial. I mean, we had the feeling we did almost everything. We design books, we design magazines, we design monthly magazines, bi-annual books, etc., etc. And we had the feeling of we need to explore a little bit more in terms of editorial. We didn't know what. We didn't know what was the final shape and the final goals, but we had this necessity, and that's why we started Eldorado. And
so maybe here we can actually show you, we have the printer. I'm going to stop sharing the screen so you can see us a little bit better, because we have the publications here. Okay.
So this is the first. So after the Morocco trip, yeah, we check the pictures, we edit the selection, and we decided to make an editorial product. And of course, at that time, the only thing we know, it was like paper, and we decided to print this kind of fanzine, all in black and white, with this stripe. No,
yeah, like a elastic.
So, yeah, with this elastic, it was kind of experiment in terms of production, etc., etc. And we decided to, okay, we had the brilliant idea of, okay, every trip we're gonna print a kind of magazine and we're gonna sell it. And yeah, of course, it's not a brilliant idea. It's a nice idea. It's a romantic idea, but it's a lot of amount of work. and you need to sell it very expensive to be like profitable. And yeah, it's okay. It's a romantic exercise. It's nice. I love it. But it was again the starting point of something different. Still, I remember we need like, I don't know, maybe a year and a half, more or less. At that time, I made another trip. I only made 3 trips, not more. I mean, in winter time. So, but again, next year, I decided to go this time like a very long trip for me. 1 month out of the office, it was too long. In February, while everyone was working, I decided to quit because I really needed again. And we went to Panama, and we make the same exercise. So I went with the same photographer. We know the formula already. It's like, okay, that's a good excuse. We go to Panama, we surf during 1 month, and then we take pictures. We work with illustrator Angela Palacios, and the artist Angela Palacios to draw like the animals we meet during our trip, etc., etc. And we print the second issue, we sell it, etc., etc. But I remember when I come back of this trip, Rafa was like pushing me to go on digital, to start something digital, website design, etc., etc. And I was really like, no, I don't want this. I don't like it. I mean, our main thing is editorial. It's paper. We must stock and defend the editorial publication in paper. Blah blah blah. But I realized it was like the best excuse because it was a really nice project where you really work with amazing content of people that is traveling around the world. It's the best excuse to jump and to do something different and to start to explore another kind of support of to spread the content. And because of Rafa, and the truth should be told, it's like this, not because of me. He had this intuition. We reconvert or reshaped, reconceptualized the whole project, and we built Eldorado experience, but like not only or far away from paper. I mean, not only paper. We understood Eldorado project as an editorial project, but that can have like several shapes, several supports, several platforms to be spread. And that was really important to understand that editorial work or editorial design is not stocked only on paper. I mean, you can apply this editorial knowledge and this way of explaining stories, which today it's called narrative, and it's something we commercialize very well, and it's in our DNA. But it's not. I mean, this jump was because of the Eldorado, and it's because we reconceptualized the whole project, and we were able to bring from paper to the digital support.
And that happened somewhere in between this one and this one, the jump to digital.
What happened? I don't remember. What happened?
No, I'm saying somewhere between this one and this one. This was when Eldorado.org was born, the website, the digital platform. No?
Bueno, sí. Then it's like, okay, it wasn't easy for me to. Okay, I quickly understand what Rafa was trying to push me, of course, but it wasn't easy. I mean, I was very useful and comfortable working through editorial paper supports, and yet suddenly to design a website with Eldorado content, etc., wasn't that easy. But we start working in the studio, and we start like designing like the whole ecosystem where the content of Eldorado would be spread. Go to the presentation again.
Okay.
Here are some of the spreads and some of the pictures of the content of this trip to Morocco.
And some from South Panama. This was the second one.
Mm-hmm.
So for the second one, you choose to print it in color.
See, because yeah, the Caribbean, it's really colorful, and Morocco is really black and white for me. That's why we decided to do it like this. But it's like no more sense than this. I mean, because in Morocco, we feel we could go with a black and white piece because it was more intimate and conceptual, and yeah, and we want to visualize the texture of the landscape. And Panama, it's colorful, and it's, of course, it's like the light you have there, it's amazing, and we decided to go in color as well. The third one we're going to show you, it's in color, etc., etc., but with no more reason than this. So this is you want to explain it maybe better than me, this transition from paper to digital?
Yeah, so just to kind of repeat what Albert just said. So it was basically a chance to kind of explore this multi-platform environment. So to go beyond just the paper publications, and with, you know, social media, with products, with the magazines and the books available through the website, with video content available through the website, we kind of had the opportunity to increase the brand awareness using, I mean, mostly Instagram, but also Facebook, and to have a lot more visibility through the website. It introduced us to the audiovisual world. No, folk as a whole was introduced more or less through Eldorado originally into the kind of production world, and it also gave us a chance to experiment in terms of the types of stories, the different types of content. It gave us an opportunity as well to kind of seek out partnership opportunities and to attract more attention to folk and through Eldorado.
This audiovisual approach, I think it's important because nowadays we have another company, which is White Horse. It's a production company. We have Paul Gonzalez as a partner. So we set up a strong company. But I think everything starts again in Eldorado. I mean, I remember the beginning with Surf Panama. We were like editing the story. Of course, in a paper support, you don't have the chance to make a video. It's obvious. But when you are like working in the layout of this digital platform, the new digital platform of Eldorado, etc., and you are like editing the pictures of Surf Panama, and you start like explaining the story through different chapters. And we want to place in some of the chapters the videos we record with a camera and with our cell phones. And when we start to realize the story was better to be told by video instead of pictures, or at least were complementary. And it's like an organic evolution. And you start like doing like few clips of video, editing few things, until now we are like able to make, I don't know, since a TV program or a documentary or a movie, no, but an advertising or content for brands. So, and again, everything starts with this intuitive way of working through Eldorado. And I think it's important. I'm sure it won't happen if it was a commission, but because of Eldorado, you work like really, I mean, really unstressed. I mean, it's because it's your own project. You feel really generous to yourself, of course, like exploring new things and designing as many times as you consider the website until you think it's the right design. And again, because the content, it was very impressive. Not, I mean, through a commission, it's not work. A commission, it's something that enters and go out from the studio. Of course, it's important, and we learn through commissions, but it's something you need to. I mean, you need to go fast, and you need to conceptualize, to work, and to finish. And as much fast as you are, much better for your company, for your client, etc., etc. So with Eldorado, we had this time to explore, to think, to conceptualize.
Yeah, I think also, I mean, I started, before I worked at Folk, I was a student at LSR, and I remember seeing Eldorado, and it was a big driver for wanting to find out lots more about folk as well, I think, in that sense. In terms of, yeah, brand awareness of folk, it was getting a lot of students interested and a lot of people interested in finding out more. So
it sounds like a personal answer to a personal need.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. As well, the social networks. I mean, we since the beginning we understood social network as a channel with the capacity to spread content, not just like a speaker of what you normally. The people is like, I have the website and the social network is the speaker of the website. We just reply the same content. Since the beginning, we understood the Instagram, for example, as its own channel to spread the content of Eldorado, doing like a special edition of pictures, special clips, as well. When the stories of Instagram starts, of course, I mean, it was a very powerful tool to complement the website. And we never killed the paper. The paper is still there, and there is a surprise we're gonna tell you, but it's like we edit a book as well. We will show you afterwards, but I know now you can see it because it's our screen. But afterwards I will show you the book we edit, and we will tell you more things. What else? This is the video
el cosmos, els astres, la micro, les aigües, la terra. Aquesta és la història d'un navegant que en la recerca de la individualitat va trobar l'universal. Mos hem oblidat d'on venim i hem deixat de fer-nos preguntes. Ens ensenya en cada silenci que la natura és capritxosa, els balanceig de les onades. Toca esperar que el vent mos dugui. La sensació d'estar a la deriva és vertiginosa. Només hi ha mà. Hem arribat a l'illa remota enmig d'un punt del mar Mediterrani, el nostre mar. El temps passa a poc, cada moment compta. Sempre hi ha qualque cosa a fer, o simplement observar. Un cràter gegant per volcans que fan un gall. Tot és nou, de tot s'aprèn, encara que sempre hagi estat allà. Ella em va dir un dia, la naturalesa m'ensenya, més que el que vull, el que no necessito.
So we show this video because I think it's very important. At the beginning, I told you we were like playing with pictures and small videos, small clips of video we shot with our iPhone or our cameras. That was very, of course, amateur. But now that was the first, let's say, short documentary we were able to produce, and to, of course, collaborating with a director and a production company, etc. Because at the time we didn't have the chance to do it by our own. But it was a very, very interesting learning how to explain a story through a video, but it was like professionally very well done. And it was the first thing we did. And it's a trip. It's not like far away. I mean, it's very close to our home. It's in between Tarragona and Valencia. There is like, I don't know how many miles, but I don't know, there is a small archipelago of a small island a volcanic island. And it's a trip a friend of us organized for Eldorado, from Barcelona to there and come back. And we record this small piece, which is it was hosted in Naunes. And for us, it was very important to get visibility, because Naunes is a very important platform with a lot of reach and visibility for the content they play. And it was another way to understanding the new editorial projects. I mean, in the present, in the editorial projects of nowadays, the content is not only needs to be displayed in your channels, as well in the channels of others that are complementary of your channels. And that's another thing. It's important. Normally, the people is very jealous of the content, and they want to share it in their websites or in their magazines, and it's in paper. It's obvious. I mean, it's in your paper or not. I mean, but nowadays everything is more liquid, and that's a good example of we did it, and because of we did it, we were like invited to be in Naunes. And in Naunes is a reference for a lot of directors, so to be in Naunes, it's important for us. It was the first piece, and we got to be in Naunes, etc., etc., etc. And this is like some of the this is a picture of a screenshot of the website platform. And the website, it's very easy. It's like there is a lot of experiences, a lot of trips.
Yeah, so I mean, the homepage always has the most recent stories on a kind of carousel, so you can go straight into the most recent stories. And then once you go into it, we have a kind of almost an archive of all the stories we've ever done. So you can kind of scroll down, go into one of them. We've got visual essays and then experiences. So we kind of divide the content in this sense into two different types. And the visual essays is more like a photographic essay with a short text that goes alongside it. And the experiences are normally 2 or 3 chapters, a lot more in depth, different types of content. So we collaborate with illustrators. There's photography, there's often video content, maps, poetry. It's a much kind of richer story. So obviously there's more visual essays. I mean, we try to publish one every couple of weeks, whereas the experiences is something that we take a lot longer to work on, and we work kind of hand in hand with the contributor. So it's a longer process, but the final product is always very exciting. Mm-hmm. Then, as we were saying before, this kind of universe that the website allows us to have, originally the books and magazines were being sold alongside products as well. So just to give you an overview of how that looked on the website. And also the illustrations, I don't know if they still are available. But they're still available. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, there's another section of the website where you have the short films available, although a lot of them are also embedded into the various experiences. And then we've got a few images just of some of our favorite experiences and stories here, just to give you a kind of idea of the type of aesthetic and visual content that we tend to look for. So stories from all over.
How do you choose the stories to tell?
It totally depends. I mean, we tend to look for something more to inspire rather than to inform. We look for kind of intimate and personal details, whether it's to do with, boredom or isolation, or a desire to escape, or getting lost somewhere, or something intimate. And obviously obscure places, interesting places on the far side of the world, definitely off the tourist trail. And in terms of aesthetics, I mean, I think we look for things, nothing too kind of over-edited or oversaturated, unique there. And I don't know, maybe over to you, Albert, on the aesthetic side. But
no, it's again, it's like a feeling. It's like, this is Eldorado or not. For me, Eldorado must respect the nature. So if it doesn't respect the nature, that's the only picture. Maybe it's not. No, but anyways, it's no pasa nada. But yeah, the Eldorado must be nature. And at the beginning, we're quite linked to sport, but then we decided to open a little bit and to to open to other stories with no sport in it. But at the beginning, right, the beginning was nature, sport, and traveling. But then we decided to open it, and now must be nature and traveling. And yeah, and I don't want, Eldorado don't want to explain like the chronological trip, like we take the plane on Monday, then we land, blah, 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 we went there, blah, blah, blah. No. It's just like, it's a trip through the feelings, the fear, the confidence, the discovering. I don't know. We want to try to transmit these values and concepts.
Yeah.
So this is what I mean, Eldorado is a digital platform, a digital or an ecosystem where paper is important as well. So we decided to edit a book. I mean, far from a magazine or a fanzine, something more, let's say, like deep and with a lot of content. So I don't know, after maybe 2-3 years of this platform, the website, etc., we realized we had so much to explain and so much to share and we decided to recap the best stories in a book of almost 200 pages. And that we decided to make like 3 different covers of the same book, just because it's more, it's commercially, it's more interesting to sell it through the networks, etc. And yeah, we edit the book and we sell the book through our e-commerce as well. We distribute it to different bookstores, etc. And now, after we edit this book in 2015 maybe,
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And now, after 5 years, we decided to, because I don't know, with this time ago, we decided to invest our energies in Eldorado and other self-initiative projects, but far away from editing new books, because we had so much to do and so much new projects to explore. But the other day we decided to again to give a chance of Eldorado book and to edit another one. So we are working since 1 week, Biz and I, in a second edition of Eldorado with new stories. And I'm personally very proud to have a story. We got the yes of a guy from Barcelona who's traveling who's selling doing the Vuelta al Mundo.
Around the world trip.
Sí, around the world trip with its boat, and he was writing since the beginning. He left. He was writing a very nice post and very funny, and he transmit very well the feelings of traveling. And he said yes, and we're gonna have this let's say experience with no images and with a very powerful story to be read. And it's something, for me, it's gonna be really rich and very nice second edition of Eldorado. And we just start like editing the content and making the selection of experiences, and then we're gonna start like contacting the travelers and the authors to ask for the permission to publish the story in a book, and we're gonna distribute it again in the bookstores, etc.
Well, I'm really happy to hear that. And one of my questions was, how do you choose the contributors for Eldorado?
I mean, in terms of what we have on the platform, it's a case of if we see something on Instagram that we think is incredible, we contact them that way. Sometimes people get directly in contact with us. If they like the platform and they've been on a travel trip, they'll contact us directly. Also, because of Fulton, we have a big network of creative people, and a lot of them are traveling. So they often come back with beautiful photographs, or, it's in every single way, basically. We're always open to finding new content.
Sometimes it's an open call asking for possible stories. Another, it's like, I don't know, I'm following someone and suddenly I see he's traveling somewhere and I contact him, or I pass the contact to this.
Yeah.
Another one is like, I don't know, a guy who's climbing and who's posting amazing videos all the time, and I feel very jealous every time I see the post. And the other day I decided to contact him, and he said yes. So it's like this very organically.
Yeah, and sometimes, I mean, people have their own travel blogs and stuff as well, and we'll see something that looks interesting and find out more, and suddenly people come up with all this extra content that they haven't shown anywhere, and it works like that as well. Like there was one guy that he published a story in another magazine, and I think it was the one in Mongolia, and we got in touch with him, and he had this whole other kind of collection of content with a slightly different angle, which was equally interesting, the horse thief one. So sometimes it happens that way as well.
Yeah, that's a table of content of the book, and this is all the travelers and authors that appear on the book. That was the first book. Was a long project because it's the first time you design for yourself. It's hard. It's like when you design your own business card. You can take like years to take decisions. So imagine a book with a lot of content, which story should be in and which not, etc., etc. And as well, we try that the book reflects, as many places of the globe as possible. So it was like a hard work, and now I have the feeling that the second book will be much faster because, all the time invested in design, it's done. The format will be the same. So it's just like now we must focus on the content of getting the best stories and the best pictures, and that's all. And this is part of the content of this first book. And this is what Bees was saying, like, yeah, there's like a little bit of, most of the content is stories and journeys, but there is like one visual essay, one conversation, like a small section of places, and another small section of food, a food story. And this is some of the final layout of the book.
Maybe we can show them.
Well, I'll show you this quick and
show you the actual book.
Vale, this is one of the covers of the book, and it's a hardcover book with so many pages, 104. No page number, muy bien, this. No, I don't remember now. See, 150, almost 150, 140 something. And it was a book that we sell it very, very well, and it was quite fast. And as well, it's another, of course, it's an extra work when you sell by your own through your e-commerce, etc. But as well, it's another way of being in contact with people and being in contact with the people they like your work, and it's another way. You never know when you're gonna get a commission because of that. It's like, it's as many legs or tentacles or fingers you can handle, much better. I think now it's not the time to say no. It's the time to open as many ways as you can, spreading your way of understanding our own work, the design, the editorial. As an agency, it's something, it's something very rich to edit. Normally the agencies are very hard working companies, only focus on clients. Of course we like clients, but as well we like ourselves, and we want to we want to take care of ourselves doing these initiatives, and I think it's very important for our soul.
Yeah, it's a project born out of love.
Sí, absolutely.
Yeah. So the last kind of thing that we wanted to talk to you guys about was the most recent project, which is a partnership with Tropic Wheel,
which is one of the legs Bees show you on the presentation. When we create this ecosystem of what an editorial project means, and we believe can be a paper support, digital, the social network, audiovisual content, etc. But as well, this kind of co-brandings. Through Eldorado, we are able to reach so many people doing amazing trips and creating amazing content, that if you want to commission it, it's very expensive, of course. I mean, it's not, I mean, go to the Alps to take pictures, it's very expensive from Barcelona. So, but we have the chance to be in touch of so many people that for maybe some brands like this one, this will explain you, it's very interesting and it's very rich. So, and we are like working together, creating like new content, not since a marketing point of view, of course. I mean, marketing is doing other things, and we want to create like good content and quality content, and we create this co-branding of this Tropic Feel brand and Eldorado.
Yeah, so avocado rice. So basically, Tropic Feel is a travel gear company, and they have a very successful line of shoes and I think now backpacks as well. And a lot of the materials that they use is upcycled, recycled. They have very sustainable materials, and the product was very successful, and they wanted to basically to produce content. I mean, the reason they got in touch with Eldorado was because we offered them editorial expertise and a kind of a network of creative travelers. So between the two of us kind of collaborating together, they could sell the shoe on Kickstarter, and with the funds that they raise on Kickstarter, produce some content. And obviously the content for them, it was important for them and for us that it had a positive impact on the environment. So when they first came to us, the initial challenge was to find an interesting story that was an important issue that once communicated to their community, but also Eldorado's community, could actually have an impact and could kind of get people to sit up and think about, in this case, consumption habits, in particular avocados. So yeah, it was perfect match in that sense.
Do you remember this? And what about this? We have more information than ever. More inputs, more impact, content, news feeds, immediacy, data, hashtags. But wait a minute. What if we want the real story? At Tropic Feel, we believe the real story requires taking a step back. We want to start from the beginning, from where you need to be to understand the message. That's why we joined forces with Eldorado, to give voice to all those silent stories by turning them into documentaries that report social issues.
If you ask somebody about what ideas they have about avocados, they'd probably answer something like this. But here, in the Sierra de Bauruco National Park, the story is quite different.
Una gran humareda provocada por un fuego que afecta a cientos de pinos en la Sierra del Bauruco.
In recent years, the growing demand and the rising prices of avocado has led illegal farmers to seek greater and more fertile pieces of land.
¿Y qué usted siembra, don?
Yo tenía café, tengo una botella de café, tenía vivo, pero ahora yo lo estoy sembrando de agua.
On the border of the Dominican Republic and Haiti, logging for the illegal cultivation of avocado is causing the deforestation of one of the most biodiverse areas in the whole island.
Aquel lado se llama Massif de la Sel y está totalmente desgastado.
Es lo único que está fluyendo ahí. Toda esta parte aquí se secó.
1,000 liters of water is needed to produce just 1 kilogram of avocado. That's 4 times as much as oranges and 10 times more than tomatoes. Illegal farming has now reached the cloud forest in the middle of the mountain. These forests can produce water even without rain, but if illegal farming continues, the mountain could go dry in just a few years. But together, we can bring back hope to one of the most special places in the Caribbean.
So yeah, that was used on social media, no, to kind of to promote the project.
For Kickstarter platform to get funds to pay the cost of shooting the documentary, and we get it. I mean, we reach the amount of money we asked for, and we went to it's the template of Kickstarter platform. So we built all the story. We combine this brand doing this product with Eldorado, working together to denounce this situation of the avocado, because our idea is to start making documentaries to give voice to problem to medioambientales, to environment issues together. And that's the first one. We got the funds and we went to shoot it before the lockdown starts, so the director could fly back. He fly back the same day as we start and this is some of the shooting we got. It's not yet done. It's not yet finished. It's just like few short clip of different footage we have, but we are working on the edition.
So yeah, it's something we're really excited about, and I guess in the next couple of weeks we should eventually have the final documentary and putting in place all the plans for communicating it and sharing it. So yeah, it's an exciting project for us.
And I think it's nice how we start. I mean, go as you know. Yes.
Stop share.
Yeah. I mean, how we start with editorial product. No, this is what editorial means to us 8 years ago maybe, and now we finish with a documentary, which is an editorial story as well. The only thing is the support. It changed. I mean, before we were working in paper, and now we are working in so many in several supports. I mean, when it's broadcasting or TV or digital, we can produce video, and now we are able to produce video because we built our own production company. So as well, it's a project that has an influence in our company. It's not, I mean, of course, it's not, when you take a decision, it's gonna have consequences, and the consequences are very important for us and very positive. When we decide to start Eldorado, and now we become an agency with a production company that able to make a documentary in República Dominicana, which is it's not easy to go there and shoot. It's a dangerous place. You need to cover so many things and so many insurance coverage, etc. And yeah, and we did it, and the footage is amazing. So it's very, we are very proud of this.
There is a comment for you. It's not a question, but a comment on the Zoom chat from Chiara. Hi guys, I really like your project. I find Eldorado more like a notebook than a magazine. Like you are traveling around and sketch what you see, what you feel. So when you are back home, you can enjoy the sensation to be there. And a huge thank for this focus on the production of avocado. It's not something we want to see as Western people. We need a change, and very quickly. I will take this opportunity to say to the public that just join us on Facebook, that if you want to join us on Zoom, they are free to do it. And if they want to, if they have any questions or comments for you, they can just comment the live stream on Facebook. And have a few questions for you, if you don't mind. And the first one is, you said how the digital platform is born and how it was connected to the first 2 printed issues of Eldorado. So I was wondering, I was curious how now the platform is linked and how it works with the book.
It is linked in the way we have like common stories, but some of the stories will appear on the book. They are not on the web. I mean, on the website. It's like different channels, and you need to adapt the content to each channel. So maybe in the website, the stories are very long and the text it's like longer than the book, or with more pictures, with videos, etc., etc. And the book will be different. The book, it's more this, try to bring this sensitive or this feeling of the trip to a few paper pages. And as well, this is a story of this guy traveling around the world with a boat. It's an amazing content that when it's gonna be closed in a book, for me it's gonna get like more value. I mean, we can publish it as well on the website, of course, but it's like there's things when they are published in a book, they are there forever. I mean, the book will be published everywhere. I mean, it's going to be in archives, in libraries, etc., etc. And it's very impressive when you encapsulate in a paper product the pictures, or the way you think, or the way you understand the world, the world. And that's for me, it's a big difference. I mean, digital, it's important because you can arrive, you can spread your vision or your content very quickly and very far away. The book, it's much expensive and much harder, but once it's there forever, and that's very important.
Yeah, and there's some value in the kind of turning of the pages and the slow reading of content.
I think paper has a different taste. I mean, you can touch it, you can take a book every time you want, if you want to see a picture or read something. So I totally understand what you are saying. And the other question was, when you started this presentation, you spoke about Appartamento and Odisseo. And actually, I'm really happy you are here to present Eldorado experience now, because I think 2 years ago, we had the beautiful opportunity to launch the 11th issue of Odisseo. So I was wondering how Folk Studio is organized. How do you work? Because you have really different projects. So
now from home, which is really crazy, but again, I think it's very organic. For example, I don't know, since a month ago, we decided to stand by with Odisseo. I think Odisseo needs to be reconceptualized again. I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know if we're gonna continue in paper, we're gonna switch into something digital, we're gonna switch into something only audiovisual. I don't know, but I need a pause of Odisseo. I have the feeling we did so many things, so many content. And once I have the feeling I'm doing the same as the last issue, then it's not working. I mean, we need to get the feeling of we are doing something different every time. If not, because it's not a commercial purpose project, it's just because we like it and because we learn from it, etc., etc. So if we don't learn from it, it's stupid to continue. So we have Odisseo stopped, and now we continue with Eldorado. Eldorado is always there, and like taking different shapes. And we are an agency with, a lot of people, designers, accounts, people, writers, etc., etc. And normally we give the project to someone to handle it and to control it. In this case, Biz is in charge of Eldorado, and through Biz we are like working Eldorado. Sometimes Biz is discussing with me content, sometimes she's discussing design of something with a designer, and sometimes strategies with Rafa while they were like building this relation with Tropic Field, for example. But Biz is in charge of Eldorado, no one else. I mean, Biz is like every week or every 2 weeks I got an email from Biz. These days it's like, hey Albert, I have this of Eldorado. Can we talk about it? I mean, I need to decide, blah, blah, blah. And with Odisseo the same. I mean, Odisseo, it's in the hands of Annie, and Annie is in charge of the social networks of Odisseo, the content, the selling, etc., etc. But it's like, when it's in terms of a strategy, it's Rafa and me who are taking decisions or trying to make like relations with other brands, as we did now with Tropic Field and Eldorado. We did it years ago with Odiseo and a perfume company. So when it's like in terms of business and strategy, Raf and me, in terms of creative direction, it's more me, but it's normally in the hands of someone in the studio. And this is about the self-initiative projects, and then the rest, it's like when we got a new commission, me and Rafa, we have the first meets, the first talks, etc., etc. Once we shape it, we understand in who we need to develop the project, if it's more in terms of design or more in terms of a strategy, or it's more narrative, and we give it to the right person in the right team. And
yeah, and there's like a constant dialogue between, I mean, the designers are all mostly on this side of the room, and the narrative team, which I'm on, is on the other side, and there's constantly dialogue between the two working together.
It's one of the things I miss really these days. It's like, because there's so many things someone deliver and someone finish and send to the client, and I didn't see it, of course, because I can't see everything from the studio. But when we are all sharing the space, you take mini decisions. It's like you see something, you see a newsletter, or you see a cover, or you see whatever, you pass through, and nobody is expecting you, but nobody's waiting for you, but you pass through, you see it, and you say, I like it, or no, why it's like this, they explain me, and we said, okay, I understand, go ahead. But it's these mini decisions, and not only me, it's like, can be bees that see something, and can I say something? Yeah, of course. I don't understand this, whatever, this preposition, and it's not, I mean, we are trying to be like ordenados, ¿cómo se dice? I mean, we are trying to be organized in terms of work and in terms of teams, etc. But somehow sometimes this kind of mess of like, sometimes is not very clear. I mean, we don't have a clear process to develop projects. I think it's necessary. I mean, we are creatives, and we don't. I hate Excels and the controllers and etc. I mean, our work is not like this. Sometimes there's clients like they need like the
like a clear structure.
See the structure, the steps you're gonna follow. How many meetings per week, etc. It's like, I don't know the steps we're gonna follow with your project. It depends. Sometimes it appears quite fast, sometimes not. Sometimes we give you only one solo idea, and sometimes 2 or 3. It depends. So it's like half control and half uncontrollable.
Yeah, I think it's the energy created by many creative people working together. So I can imagine how working from home, just with a laptop, doing, meeting like this, it's totally different. So I can understand you. So you are in your studio, right?
Yes, we decided to come here together. I mean, instead of doing from our homes, because it was a good excuse to meet and to share and to talk and see. We are in the studio. I don't know if you can see it.
A little.
Like it's a big empty space now with no computers. And we have a small coffee shop here.
I really love the trees in your space.
Yeah, sorry?
I really love the trees.
Trees, I think they are half ill. Tomorrow they come to treat them. Something happened, back or something. This is the coffee, but it has been empty for 2 months and a half, 2 months. But in 2 weeks, I think we're gonna come back. We're gonna start again in Acid House.
How many people work at Folk Studio?
In Folk, we are 20 more or less, or 18, 19, 20, depends. Sometimes there's more new stagiaire or another one who's leaving, but it's around 20. And in White Horse, the production company, which are as well in another room, but in the same space, they are 4 or 5, yeah, 5. So in total 25.
Wow, huge stuff.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
it's a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't easy at the beginning of the COVID, yeah, because it was very shocked.
Yeah.
And yeah, the first thing you think is like, wow, I have 25 people. What can I handle this situation? What do we have to do? Which are the right decisions we must take with Rafa, my partner, and I, etc., etc. But I think now it's under control, and we are very busy. We are working a lot. These 2 last weeks, it has been crazy. I mean, you can see everything starts again because there's so many people with that wants to start projects and they need communication. So that's why we want to return as quick as possible to the studio, because there's so many things running at the same time and we need to be again together.
Yeah. Volume of work, it hasn't really changed. If anything, we have just as much work.
No. And because we work much slower than before, because of the distance, because there's so many calls all the time, and that's obviously you don't have that much time to work, concentrate in the project. So we really need to come back again, because
Yeah, I can understand. Everyone has the the feeling that everything is starting again, and we have to communicate and start again something, because we are. It's been like 2 months, more than 2 months in Italy, that we are a little bit stuck. So yeah, we understand you.
More weeks, because you start 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
more or less, no? 2 weeks ago you start the lockdown in some of the areas, and
beginning of March, wasn't it?
Sí. And here we were like in demonstrations and football things, and everyone was in the terraces drinking beers and watching, like, wow, look at Italia, they are all cool people. And look, 2 weeks later arrived.
So your plans for the future are the documentary and the next issue of Eldorado book. Do you already have a timing for this project?
Our idea is to be launched in September. I think it's the right time. We're gonna work this June, July, August in the content, and let's say send it to print in September to be ready on 1st of October. I think it's with the second wave of coronavirus.
Good to know. We really hope to have you in person here and have Eldorado at Fruit.
Sí.
And the documentary?
The documentary must be finished very soon. Yeah, this month, in few days, few weeks. Yeah, we are just closing the edit and deciding which tone and which what to say now, or as much far we can arrive with this situation of the deforestation of this Sierra de Barauco, because it's a very politically it's not easy in there. This is a big issue in the island. It's very important. It's the only water reserve they have, and they are drying the mountain. And of course, when we launch the documentary, it's not gonna be very I don't know, in the Sierra, in República Dominicana. I'm sure it's gonna appear on the press, so we will see. As I think the fact is how much far we want to arrive with this.
Yeah, actually, I was wondering what channel of distribution of this documentary you think about.
Still not. I mean, as soon as we have the documentary closed, we will decide which is the channel.
Yeah.
It depends, because the channel is important, because it's gonna give the right tone to the piece.
Yeah,
but with something we need to decide.
On Eldorado for sure, and on
Eldorado for sure, but I'm sure we will find like other medias to be shared and to spread and to denounce the situation.
Mm-hmm. Of course. So thank you very much. I know you are really busy with work, so I'm gonna give the freedom to go. Thank you again for sharing everything, to be here even virtually. It was really important for us, and we're really happy. I was really happy to meet you finally, because we are always sending email. So thank you again. And this meeting is being recorded. So if you, the public, missed the beginning or a part of this meeting, it will be available on our YouTube channel in a few weeks.
Okay.
And if you want to share it, we're really happy. And Virtual Fluid ends tomorrow after 6 weeks of program. And thank you to all who follow us from the beginning. We had a few international meetings, and we're really happy to done that, to have them actually. And so really hope to see you and to see all the public and see you at Fruit. Probably the fair will be postponed next year. We really hope the situation will be good, just because we can't really imagine a cultural event with social distancing, because as Folk Studio, it's it's a big event, and all the people meetings and sharing thoughts and shaking hands for new collaborations. So yeah, it will be no meaning to have it without people and without this kind of contact. So thank you again.
Thank you very
much.
Have a nice evening, and thanks. I see Catherine from Malenki. Thank you for being here in the public, and have a nice evening. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.